All right, we are live for the morning check-in. It is midweek, the second day of the month of October, and as always, looking forward to connecting and sharing with you some headlines, trying to comb through the news and paint a more realistic picture to the information we're given. So, looking forward to sharing. I have maybe 6 or 7 tabs open, all relevant to issues that, if they don't matter today, they will definitely matter tomorrow, if not next week and beyond. But the global labor crisis is kind of what I want to start off with in reference to this port strike situation, which is on the surface, it is extremely important. But when you go a couple layers down, what it is really indicative of is the shift away from manual labor to a more automated approach that is a part of this reset or restructuring of basically every aspect of our lives. And so it's unavoidable. It's more so the pace at which it will unfold. And so as of right now, I think the outcome of this current strike, when it comes to the port workers as well as Boeing, who's also, I think, on day 19 of their strike, uh, every major publicly traded company, they have to go towards automation for a variety of reasons, of which is none of them is favorable for the working class. And that's the part where I think people are not realizing that whether you want automation or not, it is inevitable because that's how technology evolves, as well as just the changing of society in general. Like, change is good, but it's extremely uncomfortable when it starts and in the middle. But hopefully, towards the end, well, before we get to the end, people will wake up and realize that, if they had pivoted sooner, they could have avoided some of the damages done by this type of disruptive change. So, just a way to try to open us up a little bit to share a little bit of my perspective. And once again, I can go the philosophical route, or I can just keep it on the surface. But as a part of my thinking, the way I will share this today has a lot to do with the book that I've referenced several times on the channel, and it's called Paradigms: The Business of Discovering the Future. And then this book here, written in the 70s, it lays out the necessity for every single person to begin sniffing out disruptors of technology and society and life in general well in advance before it becomes mainstream. And that's how you can predict the future or discover the future. And so it has a lot to do with your paradigm. And so the definition of a paradigm, according to him, is a rule, written or unwritten, that establishes boundaries that tells you how to be successful within them. That is an actual definition from that book. And I've memorized it because I realize that we all operate according to the information that we've been presented within these bubbles that we place ourselves in. And the moment they're challenged, we find ourselves bumping up against the edges of it due to disruption outside of our control. It gets harder to adjust our mindset rather than being the individual that seeks out disruption so that you can stay ahead of the curve for whatever that's worth. Anyway, I'll hold off a little bit as until I get into this. But anyway, welcome. Looking forward to connecting. For those who are watching, definitely let me know where you're watching from in the comment section as well as the chat. Drop a comment and share whatever other thoughts, ideas, suggestions that you may have down below, so that I can share my 2 cents on it as well and go from there. And if you haven't, make sure you guys hit that thumbs up button, subscribe, and follow so that you'll always be plugged in when we go live. And as always, my goal is just to connect, share my 2 cents on things, and for the most part, give people something to chew on, man. Just because I think these are times where people need strategies, alternatives, solutions, whatever you want to call them, and people are going to be forced to rely upon something a lot greater than themselves. That's just inevitable. Like, because no man in and of themselves has the wisdom, the foreknowledge to navigate these times you're in, and so you have to lean upon something greater than yourself. And of course, I refer to that as your spiritual man and your relationship with your creator, i.e. Yahweh, Jesus, whatever, you refer to that individual as, the Almighty God, Elohim. I got a lot of names, Adonai, we can go on and on, but you get my point. It's very specific in my opinion. But all right, go start off with some good news. Then we're going to get into some market activity. It looks like some jitters out here due to geopolitical tensions. It looks like the Iran and Israel situation probably before the end of this week could really escalate. Therefore, it's going to be some turbulence. And then we'll find out what is more of a flight to safety amongst the Bitcoin and the gold community. Will they both rise? Will one rise? So we're going to see how that plays out. But as always, looking forward to connecting. I want to just jump right in, man, get to nuts and bolts of things. And give you some value this morning. So definitely make sure you hit that thumbs up button as you're going along this journey with me. And I'm gonna start off with some good news because we all need some good news. And today is a special word because it's about labor. And so let's jump into it. So October 2nd, the power of labor in the kingdom. And I'm gonna read this to you with the goal of encouraging, motivating, inspiring, and hopefully lighting a spiritual spark within you to place your mindset, your priorities into something bigger and better and beyond and more valuable than the temporary things that we're experiencing right now, whether you're in a great position or whether you're on a down and out. Keep your mind on the throne. That's where your help comes from. So it says here, the power of the labor in the kingdom. It says, in the kingdom of God, labor isn't just work. It's a divine assignment. Jesus often spoke about the importance of laboring for things that truly matter. In John 6:27, he says, quote, do not labor for the food which perishes, but for the food which endures to everlasting life. This shows us that while earthly labor provides for our physical needs, our true work should be focused on things with eternal value, things that advance the kingdom of God. Just think about that. Our true work should be focused on things with eternal value. That is a paradigm disruptor because we're taught to go to school, do A, B, C, D, F, set aside this side, enjoy life, buy these, whatever, live comfortable. But then again, that's all temporal and therefore subject to change as we're witnessing now for some. But eternal value is centered on things well beyond these temporary things, even though they're important. But okay, let's zoom out some. It says in Matthew 9:37, Jesus also says, quote, the harvest is plentiful, but the laborers are few. This speaks to the urgent need for kingdom laborers, those willing to serve, preach, and spread the good news. Our labor in the kingdom is about sowing seeds of righteousness, justice, and love, aligning our work with God's purpose. It says, remember, oops, got my screens. Let me get my screens back on here. Remember, every act of service, every effort we make to honor God in our daily lives is labor in his kingdom. It's not in vain. Paul reminds us in 1 Corinthians 15:58, always give yourselves fully to the work of the Lord because you know that your labor in the Lord is not in vain. So don't just work for yourself, work for the kingdom. The harvest is waiting. And to end this off, John 6:27, do not labor for food which perishes, but for the food which endures to everlasting life. Amen. Amen and amen. And it looks like you guys are behind me because my screen got shrunk. So forgive me. Let me get my screen over here so you guys can see that last little bit there. But anyway, you guys get the gist of it here. Let me get my screen here. I'm everywhere. Let me get myself situated here. Okay, so we're going to keep it moving, man. As always, looking forward to hopefully that was an encouragement to somebody this morning. I know somebody needed that. I know I needed it. So that is what it's for, to be a blessing to those that receive it. Okay, let's get into some activity this morning, man. For those who might be new to the channel, you never know, all the resources you need are down below. And so I'll just thumb through them real quick here so you'll be familiar with them and you'll know how to go about accessing them if you are interested in doing such. And as I bring it up on the screen here, sweet and simple. Down below, as you can see, we have the Colonials Metals Group. Colonials Metals Group is one of my partners here that allows people to take physical possession of their retirement in the form of a self-directed IRA. So if you are interested in finding out more, which I would encourage everyone who has a substantial amount of investments of their portfolio in the legacy system to consider things of this nature, fill out this form here. You'll be contacted by the experts and then ask questions on how you can protect and preserve everything you worked hard for. So once again, colonialsmetalsgroup.com/RTD. Check them out. Tell them Mike sent you. Links in the description. Next, I want to also remind people of the opportunity to get involved in the silver business directly. We have the 𝗙𝗢𝗟𝗟𝗢𝗪 team. And so that's something I'm enjoying doing, being able to automate my weight and help others do the same. And so if you're interested in joining the team and working with me directly, consider clicking the link in the description, signing up, and automating your weight and helping friends do the same. Because as we witness this monetary shift, things are going to change, and hopefully you're positioned and help others get positioned. That's the bare minimum we can ask for. And then lastly here, really enjoying the opportunity of getting my weight up in a new form with fractional gold. And so I did some calculations this morning in reference to current gold price, as well as what Peter Schiff, according to his estimates, say that $20,000 gold will be coming at some point soon. And just spending $5 for one of these instruments here, when everything hits the fan at today's price, will literally, so $5 a day will literally, it'll be 8 times return on that $5 investment, which will put you at around $40 for one gold back. And then, of course, it goes up accordingly. But at $20,000 gold, we're looking at an 8 times or so return when you factor in the premium for these instruments here, which to me is a very, very beneficial wealth preservation vehicle. And so for one gold back, I was just doing the math, for one gold back, for one of these gold backs here, 1/1000 of a note, it equals a quality loaf of bread, like, the top of the line bread. And if we hit a, God forbid, some type of unforeseen events and gold does hit $20,000, you will be able to buy multiple loaves of bread still with this instrument here. So it's like, once again, just another alternative for those who have interest. And of course, there's a variety of forms out there. I'm just letting you know what's available for those who would like to have affordable gold that they can hold and barter with and things of that nature. And so anyway, just something more on the side if you're interested. So buygoldnotes.com, links in the description. Check it out. Data 12. Appreciate you, my friend. Thanks for the love offering. Okay, let's get into it, man. I want to get into a lot of stuff. So just look at market activity real quick. We're going to just comb through some things because I want to get to the primary subject matter, which, of course, is the global labor crisis. And as I get my screen here, let me get myself situated here. Okay, so what we see on the screen here is current activity. Let me refresh your screen so you see what I see. And as of right now, silver is in the green, and gold, of course, is getting slammed down. And this right here is what is going to become something worth keeping eyes on, because geopolitical events will lead to activity here. Current monetary debasement, which we're witnessing right now at our currency, will lead to this. The intensity of these strikes around the country will reflect it in this. And so that's just something that, once again, whenever it's down or up, to me, it's a great time to redeem some of those Federal Reserve notes whenever you have or whatever you can get rid of, as a savings, as an insurance, as well as a speculation vehicle. So a lot of options we have for those that are awake and aware. So just something worthwhile, and go from there. Okay, so also in the crypto space, because I follow this sector heavily due to the potential price appreciation of a lot of these assets here, I don't want to be on the outside looking in. And so definitely it's a way for me to play the game and hopefully, get more weight. But as we can see here, we're looking at Bitcoin is $61,000. And so everyone is expecting it to, shoot past 70, 80. That time will come as global liquidity continues to ramp up. I've been doing a lot of, additional research and trying to put together those quick takes, talking about the global liquidity. And in one of the videos, I just mentioned that, my expectation, don't expect no real type of real activity with crypto, especially until we see the surge of approximately, nothing substantial, rather, until we see a minimum of, 5 to 10 trillion. That's what's coming. When that hits, it's going to flow into crypto like we've never imagined. The numbers are going to be ludicrous. This is going to be crazy. But then again, I'm saying it has its plus and minuses in it. I'm not going to go into that. But anyway, okay, so that's just a little activity there for those who care. Let's keep it moving. Let's get into what some of the headlines are talking about real quick, and then I'll get into the primary subject matter of the day, because automation is the primary focal point, but it is necessary. It will take place, just like CBDCs is coming, just like digital IDs is coming, just like everything that's being worked on is coming. It's just a matter of when. And so it's one thing if like I mentioned earlier, if you can predict the future, you can try to maneuver and navigate a little bit better so you won't be caught off guard. That's all. China and the Middle East tensions push commodities into the spotlight. And so here we got some activity. And I'll just thumb through here real quick. This is early morning activity here. And so futures opened up very unfortunate today. And of course, we're watching the CSI index over in China since they are starting QE. It's very favorable over there. So as of now, let me see, it's up 9.63% or 8.48% for it looks like the week. And what else we got here? China unleashes a suit of monetary and fiscal easing measures. This is ridiculous. So the U.S. is coming as well. As of right now, crude oil is trending downward just a little bit. Let's see, over the last 5 days, it is up though. Okay, so just a little activity there. But these ADP figures, this is something worthwhile. More fictitious numbers to, I guess, keep things stable for this soft landing that they're trying to convince us that we're in. And so we'll see. But ADP jobs report shows 143,000 gain. Cooling U.S. labor market leads to slower wage increases. Wages is going to be a major issue, especially as we go through this global labor restructuring. And so once again, these numbers, it's going to be adjusted down. U.S. labor market added a higher than expected, 143 new jobs, higher than expected. Me being an alternative media, I don't expect anything favorable, but then again, I know that the way they measure things, and even though they have no incentive to tell the truth because it wouldn't suit the narrative of those that are trying to control this narrative. So I automatically assume they're lying. But it says here, yet it was the 6th straight month in which employment gains totaled less than 200,000, and a sign that the labor market has cooled off considerably. Well, duh. So if 200,000 is their bare minimum, we're nowhere near that. But then again, they say higher than expected. So how can it be higher than expected when it's nowhere near the 200,000 mark, which has been the floor thus far? So it's beneath the floor. But we know we know what's at stake here. Okay, but that's not the end of it. This is what we're going to talk about. This headline here caught my attention. Dock worker unions calls for automation restrictions at U.S. ports could undercut competitiveness. It's not meant to undercut. It's meant to dismantle the need for manual labor. But they can't say that. We're going through an automation restructuring. This is a part of the technological advancement that we're in. We're out of the industrial age. We no longer, not saying we, but manpower, human labor is no longer needed in the same regards that it was prior to. That's a natural process of evolution in this regard here because of technology. And so for people who are looking at it as an opportunity, they are the ones that are pushing this. The ones who have yet to adapt to change in their mind, because once again, going back to my earlier rant, because their paradigm is being challenged right now. They're not realizing that change has already occurred. And so they become resistant to change because it disrupts their way of life. But once again, the rules that are already written cannot be changed by the laborers. It's the employee, it's the employers, it's the creatives out there that are creating these advancements that are disrupting things. And this is just natural. It's going to happen in every area of our lives. And so, I feel for those that are wanting the best at a time where the world is changing. And so this is going to be very unfortunate because this strike might go on longer because of the hold off, but at some point someone has to give. I can see the union eventually caving in if we get past that 30-day mark or something like that. Or then again, they'll hold out because the union workers on the streets, the 45 or so thousand, once their pockets are starting to get even more tight, and then they're witnessing the impact that their actions right now are having in society with the sticker prices of items and lack of goods and services starting to really become evident, then it's going to be a matter of caving. I think the system, referring to the people behind the development of this technology and the push to go towards automation, they can hold out a lot longer than the actual workers can. But then again, we'll see. But give you some feedback, give you some things here. Go through a couple of things here worthwhile. It says a labor strike East Gulf Coast Tuesday began with the union employers at an impasse over the new contract. It says ILA has roughly 45,000 workers are seeking a 77% pay raise over the next over the new contract. So think about that, 77%. And for someone who, if I was hands on the ground working, 40 hours a week plus or whatever, 77% sounds like a hell of a pay raise, because it is. Problem is, you're asking for a 77% pay raise at a time where your labor is no longer needed. And if they knew that their jobs in the long run was already gone, I would imagine they would be willing to settle for the 50 or so that was offered already. But because the unions are set up with a variety of interests beyond the long, without thinking long term in reference to the changes taking place, they're going to be the reason why these people end up unemployed. So just like with the GM, Stellantis, and all the auto workers, what I've witnessed is that last year's strike, they stood out on the corners for a week or two or however long it was, and then it appeared that all your manufacturers caved. They didn't cave. They just gave them something to pacify them, to get them back on the job, and then a year later they start laying them all off. And we haven't saw the brunt of the layoffs for the auto manufacturers here in the Motor City. And so I remember ranting back then saying, man, like, if these people could see the fact that their jobs are coming to an end because of the economic conditions, because of the monetary shift, and because of the labor shift, there's too many shifts to be ungrateful, even though you are owed you are owed everything you can get, because there is a such thing as corporate greed, but that's called capitalism. These companies exist for the sake of profit for shareholders, first and foremost. They don't care about your life. They don't care about your family. They don't care about your financial future. That's not why they're in existence. And so people don't realize that. Like, you're employed because you need them just as much as they need you. And it's in their favor to get you for whatever they can get you at. So they can get you on a job for $5 an hour, and you say yes, and they make $95 and you make $5. That's what the service is called for. So labor is shifting. And it's just, I mention all this just because it's just on my mind right now. But anyway, that's a lot of ranting. That's a lot of rant, but you guys get my drift. Okay, so it's just, people could see beyond the here and now and think, like, where is this heading? How does all this play out? So a couple other things here, because I'm going somewhere with this. The U.S. Maritime Alliance, which represents port employers in negotiations, said its statement of money that it offered would provide 50% rate raises, but improve retirement and healthcare benefits, will also retain the current language around automation and self-automation. So the same language around automation and self-automation. And that is a big push there. So they're saying that they're pushing back against automation, which of course is a problem, but they don't know that automation is already here. Speaking of which, the best example of this automation is already here is this example right here. So check this out. This is a video from China who have already virtually fully automated things, and it works way more efficiently, faster, and it's cheaper. So this is what's coming here to the US. This is a command center. There's barely nobody out there. These are all robotics, automation, trucks, software. So this is a clip that I grabbed from somebody who's sharing how China's already where the US and the rest of the world is heading. But everything that's happening in China already, in all aspects of life, it's going global. It's not necessarily beneficial for humanity, but this is where things are going, whether you like it or not. So these command centers here, they see trucks and ships coming in. They got controllers that go out and get stuff, grab stuff, pop stuff, drop stuff. And it's already operational here in the US, but not to the extent of what is coming. So that's just a little something on the side there for the people to really consider. And then here is another, let me grab it here. So here's another video from an actual worker on the West Coast on the port who went through the strike situation last year. And this is his commentary on this situation.
I'm a longshoreman for LA Long Beach. And LA is fighting against this right here. I'll tell you right now. See that? There's nobody there. Automation. I work at an automated dock. It's no joke.
Automated dock.
Losing thousands of jobs. So you got all these machines.
Thousands of jobs.
All these machines right here, There's no people. They ain't paying no taxes. They ain't paying no money. This is what ILA is fighting about. This all used to be filled with top handlers, UTR drivers, clerks, all this yard. Look how big this yard is. And there ain't hardly any people on this thing. This is what they're fighting about. I work at an automated dock right here, Port of LA, Long Beach. Keep fighting, brothers. Keep fighting.
All right. So he works at the docks. He's telling them to keep fighting. And so he said there's barely any workers there. And so he has a job. So there will be employment for some, but not thousands, because once again, thousands won't be needed. You'll need hundreds at best to oversee the automation side of things. And so those individuals will return to work. They'll be compensated heavily for their efforts and times until they're no longer needed, because they're going to be replaced by actual physical robots at some point where, you know what I'm saying? So this is where things are heading. Okay. So those are just two things that people should consider. Now let's get into what, why, and how this may go on a little bit longer. This has everything to do with this statement right here. The White House has the power to step in at any minute, and because of national security, they can force people to go back to work and get things operational. But White House sides with the union as dock worker strike enters second day. So we have the administration, the Biden administration, or whoever is running that, siding with the union workers, which means this can be a prolonged ordeal. But then again, like if the current administration was concerned with the national health of our economy, logistically speaking, the backlog and the impact on inflation and all those things we talked about yesterday, it would be in his best interest to step in if he cared. But once again, once we know that everything is intentional, nothing is by accidents, this entire restructuring is a deliberate attack and an assault on our nation. Because as of now, I'm sure we can all believe that the nation's leadership, they're in it to win it for themselves over our well-being. Hence the immigration crisis, currency crisis, the political divide. I mean, just give me some subjects. You put subjects out there. Any subject, any problem that our country faces, it starts at the very top. The people who are in positions of power over the masses. 100%. Our nation is a reflection of the governance or lack thereof that we've been under, because the policies determine the overall operations within our country, and we have become so woke that we've gone broke. But it's all intentional. So once again, predicting the future. Where does this go? Not too hard to tell. But so the Biden administration stands behind the union. So therefore, this could be drawn out a little bit longer than we all anticipated. Therefore, we could experience pain within our borders that will just be compounded on top of all the other issues. Head into the presidential election with the possibility of war and everything else. And so a lot of this is a disguise as corporate greed and the quest for living wages, of which I've expressed my opinion about all that stuff before, but that model of thinking is outdated, because what is a living wage? How can you categorize, how can you calculate living wage in an environment where monetary policy has distorted price valuations? So from housing to food, energy to everything, the true nature of what those items are worth, denominated in USD terms, are undiscoverable right now. But we know, because of the impact of our currency having been debased and eroded as a part of monetary policy, that's just how things were set up initially, that you'll always need more units of fiat to sustain your life. So there is no such thing as a living wage when your life expenditures will continue to increase. So that number that you're going for today will change tomorrow because of compounding inflation. So the Fight for 15 movement 2-3 years ago, that was real big. I'm like, I told everybody, I'm like, it's common sense. You make corporations dig into their profits, they're going to have to make adjustments. So you got fast food chains automating burgers, automating this. Automation came in. It's quite simple. And I'm thinking, like, it's unfortunate. They know what they're doing, but they have to sell it to the public in the form of propaganda to make it look like they're fighting for them, not realizing that the people who are dependent upon our leadership, they're lying to their constituents because they can't tell the truth. We're past the truth. The truth hurts, and the truth would set the world free. But then again, the powers that be, those that are trying to oversee this, can't have that. They've invested too much into capturing the system to lose it now. And this is why I believe the whole "Make America Great" concept, mathematically speaking, is impossible, because there must be pain. And the longer this is drawn out, there will be great pain, unfortunately. So this is just the reality we're in. And this is not my opinion. This is just being able to, think beyond myself, think beyond the time frame, knowing my history, knowing where we have to go in the future to get to our I can't even say our desired outcome, but to get to the outcome that's destined for us as a human species. So just a little something on the side there. But dock workers, they're going to get a pay increase into their own demise. They're going to lose their jobs eventually. Automation will come in and disrupt things. So for my dock workers that are paying attention, who might be watching, realize that you will get compensated initially up front to appease you, but it's only going to be short-lived, because we can't stop this transition. It's not stoppable. And if for my people who this might not set well with them, if you were in a position in a corporate boardroom as an executive making a good, comfortable living, and you are responsible for shareholder valuations, which determines your job, then you're going to do what's in the best interest to return a much greater than profit than normal, which would mean you're going to be out here looking for automation methods as well. It's just natural. So put yourself in the position of the person and where they're at in this transition, and you'll be able to see things a little bit clearer, I think. And so that's just my thought process. But when it comes to Boeing is no different. Boeing went on strike 19 days ago. So it says, striking Boeing factory workers say they are ready to hold out for a better contract. And so because of monetary corrosion of purchasing power, everybody's in need of more compensation to sustain themselves. So it says blue collar workers for Boeing walked out picket lines on Pacific Northwest instead of building airplanes on Friday. It says the strike, 33,000 machinists, will now disrupt airline flights anytime soon, but is expected to shut down the production of Boeing's best-selling jetliner. So this can go on for a little bit longer, because most of the jets that are out there operational is already in operation. These are about building future jets. And once again, it's a lot cheaper to go automated than to give 33,000 people a pay increase and more benefits and. So they're asking for a 25% over 4 years type of raise. They may get something to start off with, but little do they know that everybody's on a strike now. 2-3 years from now, 2 years maximum, they won't be employed in that line of work any longer. Majority of them. And so here's a little video clip from somebody, and just his primary talking points is what caught me, because I'm thinking, like, he's unfortunately, and when you're in it, when you're in the midst of disruption, and the disruption is directly related to you at that moment, you're not thinking about anything else outside of your circumstances, which is natural. And that's why it's imperative to really be able to see multiple angles, so that you can put yourself out in a position of a board member, in a position of someone in a completely different sector, and see the potential impact of your actions that you are trying to pursue at that moment. Because there's always a ripple effect, good or bad. And so, unfortunately, because of everything I'm talking about, the ripple effects are going to be bad for the person. Ripple effects are going to be good for the people who recognize it and find another way to get involved with the disruption, to where they can win and benefit along with those at the higher ups. But here is a quick little video of someone directly on the line.
Hey folks, how you doing? It's your buddy Ben Cruz. It's day 15 of our strike against Boeing. Once again, we're fighting against corporate greed, trying to make a living wage. Once again, we're going to hold the line. There's 33,000 of us. We're standing strong. Something's got to give. All right.
Something's got to give.
Thank you for all the support. We appreciate that. And of course, I got my lovely dog with me. Check it out.
What are you doing?
Strike worker.
Don't do that.
Means well.
All right, folks. So once again, thanks for the support. Day 15. We'll check in with you later. Have a good one. Bye.
He's doing exactly what he should do, what's expected. Like, you're not being fairly compensated according to the corporate structure, and so you want a bigger share of the pie. I understand 100%. And so the problem is, once again, he said fighting corporate greed and fighting for a living wage. Those two narratives there play into why this type of disruption will succeed, because this is where, like, and I might say some things that's kind of different, but I'm gonna be honest. In the current environment we're in now, employment and having a job is a privilege. It's not. I'm not sure if it. I'm not sure if it ever has been a right. Employment or having a job is not a right. You as an individual, you have to work something to earn to take care of yourself, yes. But to be employed or to have a job is a privilege at any rate, for any amount, because you have a choice. You don't have to do that job, but some form of work you have to do in order to sustain yourself. Work, job. And so right now, a lot of people, as a part of this disruption, they will be forced to make changes. And that's the negative side of things. But then on the other side of that, the potential positives is that this change could lead to something better and greater for that individual, because majority of people are not in a position where they actually enjoy what they do anyway. They have used the job or employment as a crutch to get by in life, to provide their needs, not wanting to pursue anything better and greater of what might be more suitable for them. And so that is where the greatest disruption takes place. Having your plans basically completely uprooted and been forced to now think about, like, how do you take back rights to your own life and your own future and everything else that you're supposed to do, regardless of the environment, the timing, the economy, the system, whatever, to be productive for your own life. And that's where, because of the way things have been structured, we've been taught to be laborers, to seek and pursue employment first and foremost, because that's what our educational system was designed to do. So this is a long 100-year plus experiment put on by a lot of oligarchy families. I've talked about this in the past, the Rockefellers and all the other moguls / money trust participants that structured economy, structured the world as a part of the Industrial Revolution, to the point now where, since that expired, we're still going on outdated information in every aspect of life, from education to finances to the way our government operates, even down to the most minute ways, which is quite obvious that it would be a good solution would be to improve the voting concept. Still using ballots, still using voting machine booths, when we have blockchain, which is a much better technology that can verify and all that other stuff, which makes things simpler. But they can't have that because they need the old stuff. So you see what I'm going, like, we're long overdue for change, and change is now, and it's going to be tough for some. And hopefully, if people know what to be aware of, to be ahead of the trends, then you can steer some of the change in a more favorable way for yourself. Okay, being kind of long-winded here, but let me get a couple other headlines here. But this is the gist of what I want to talk about. Change is coming, no matter what. Automation is here to stay. It could be a blessing if you know how to figure out how to get involved with it, whatever that means. To each his own. Okay, that's what else I got here. I got a couple more things here. So, on to geopolitical events. This is something that should be of concern. Germany urges citizens to leave Iran. So that means if Germany telling their citizens to leave Iran, that means something's coming to Iran. So we know, as a result of what happened yesterday, Iran bombed the heck out of Israel, from what we were told, what videos were put out there. Once again, because of the environment we're in, old video footage can be made new again. If I'm not there directly, I can't put verification on any of this. But knowing that they're still foretelling each other, like, I'm going to bomb you, and we're going to bomb you in 24 hours. Like, in war, who actually tells their enemy they're coming? Would you want to surprise them? So the fact that they're telling each other what they're going to do, we're going to immediate attack. We're going to attack you immediately. Oh, we're going to wait till Friday to attack you. It's like, this is some strategic some strategic warfare nowadays. So once again, distraction diversion tactic. Unfortunately, when lives are lost, it's real, and lives are being lost. And life of anybody, whether it's somebody that agrees with your philosophy, someone a part of your ideology or not, that's a human soul that's gone. That human soul, whatever decision they made prior to that moment, is final. They don't get a second chance. That's bigger than any disagreements we got when in the world going this way. It's all about going this way. Man with his God. If you ain't in right standing, eternity is a long time to have made a wrong decision. Okay. Anyway, last couple things here. Zimbabwe devalues ZiG as latest bid for stable currency founders. So once again, the ZiG's supposed to be backed by gold. It's not really backed by gold because they devalued it 40%. Shouldn't be surprising. It's just a matter of time. It ain't even been 4 or 5 months. I think 6 months. I think February I did a video talking about this, or beginning of the year. I think either way. Unfortunate. If you hold ZiGs thinking they're in parallel with the dollar, you just got robbed 40%. It's coming to every fiat currency, buddy. No choice. Ghana, inflation heats up in September amid higher food prices. Debased currencies automatically reflected in higher sticker prices of goods and services. Guaranteed. Another one, Zambia plans to launch sovereign wealth fund in 2025. So the question is, what will this wealth fund be denominated in? It won't be USD. You can believe that. It's good to say they got a gold plan of some sort, but it's very vague as of now. But the fact that they're talking about Zambia will establish a sovereign wealth fund next year to build a rainy day cushion to shield the South African nation from financial shocks and support key sectors, including health and education. So whatever this rainy day cushion that's going to be used to shield their economy, it's not going to be treasuries. It's not going to be USD. I can pretty much put something on that one. Okay, what else we got here? This morning, some shocks to the economy. Humana shares sink as 22% in the biggest one-day drop. Humana, health insurance, not looking good. Then we have Lockheed Martin soars to all-time high, which lets me know that Congress portfolio is doing good right now. They don't mind a war because they get the profit off of share valuations. And it's good to say all the other military industrial complex companies are also doing pretty well right now. So, yeah, from a moral standpoint, if war has yet to really start and the U.S. is probably going to be involved in it, if you get on board with the Congress as far as just duplicating their portfolios by getting into these companies here, your purchasing power will appreciate because our country will be sent to war and everything else. So just a little way to follow and track activity. And then here's another little story that's not good. Samsung to cut thousands of jobs amid struggles in the AI market. Thousands. So this is another episode of automation, economic pressure on companies for profitability's sake, you name it. This is what's real. But as I mentioned, to start off, for those who might have come in late or might have saw this late, go back to the very beginning and, remember, don't lose sight of what ultimately is the most important, the power of labor in the kingdom. Place the king's business ahead of your own, and I believe he'll take care of yours. You know what I'm saying? That's kind of what I'm hedging on these days. But anyway, hope all is well. Wanted to come to you guys, share my 2 cents on things. If you found value, hit that thumbs up, take a minute, leave a comment. And if you found value here, because the perspective is not common. It's not common sense I'm speaking here. I believe this is of the foreknowledge, hopefully divinely inspired through the Holy Spirit. Hopefully. Pray for your boy. But anyway, share with others so they can find out what's going on and be blessed by it as well. So other than that, be blessed, be safe. See you guys later. And once again, for those who need some strategies, solutions, check the resources in the description. Shalom.